My whole team here, including our newest addition, Harlem. Yeah, look forward to this discussion and telling them a little bit more about the design process.
Hey, Jamie.
Hey. Hey, y'all.
Hi, everybody. I'm Molly. I'm a senior designer at Shinola, and I've been with the company for 12 years.
Yeah. Okay, clap it up, because that deserves a clap it up. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Jamie, and I am on the product development team as one of the product development managers. I work with the time category, so I work with watches and clocks. And I've been with Shinola for 6.5, going on 7 years. And okay, yep, clap it up. Yeah. Yep. So this is really special to me because I get a chance to work with Greg and Molly on a regular basis very closely, working on a development team. So as I have been on the development team, I've known Tremaine too, and the UndGrd Studio team for over a decade now. And Tremaine sent me a deck. He was like, I have this idea. I want to show you something. I'm like, okay. So, which is not uncommon. He sent me this deck and I was like, wow, this is crazy. Like, you know, nothing that, just like some concepting, it's just design concepting. It's never designed a watch before, but I thought what he put together was incredible. So I put a meeting on with Greg and Molly, and I'll allow them to come in and share the deck with them so that they can get, like, you know, just some insight in terms of like their creativity and their abilities design-wise. And so Dilla was never on the table in terms of like this collaboration, but as they met and then things transpired, here we are. So to get into the meat and potatoes of why we're here, we're going to start with Greg and why Dilla.
Yeah, so why Dilla? Basically, Phil said it first. You know, we have this debate every year. Who is the next Great American? It's been a core moment for us every year that we really spend a lot of time with. Who are we working with? It started out with like the Wright brothers. We've done Georgia O'Keeffe, Muhammad Ali. There was a Statue of Liberty moment in there as well. So really, you know, people that embody sort of the guardrails for us is a contribution to arts and culture or innovation and engineering. And there's a sport element as well with people like, you know, Muhammad Ali and Jim Thorpe. So I think this is our 12th or 13th year, and we had noticed you know, a lot of like turn of the century characters that we've celebrated. And so, you know, one part of the thought process for this year was, you know, somebody maybe more contemporary that we could celebrate, somebody more in the moment. And so, you know, Phil threw out J Dilla, and immediately, you know, what came to my mind was just the craftsmanship that he put into his work, the time that he spent with it, the level of product that he was putting out, all kind of felt like, you know, a story that we wanted to tell, something that resonated with our brand, the attention to detail that we try to put into things. And so that was just, you know, that's kind of the hard part of making that choice internally. And so immediately, I think we're all super excited about it and didn't know where to go, where to turn. I think I'd noticed that if you're not familiar with the book, Dan Charnas, he wrote an incredible book on the history of his life, James's life, and really broke it down. And so I noticed he was flying into town, shot him a message. He basically, linked us up with the estate, and, we went through all of the processes to make sure we were doing it the right way, essentially. With any Great American, that's kind of like the main thing. Do it the right way, honor whoever we're working with, and feel good about it in the end, and put out a piece of art is really the goal. So why J Dilla? For all of those reasons, the care that he took with his product, his music, it was just really special for us. So the estate agreed that this would be a great partnership. So here we are.
Super dope. So now can you walk us through the design process?
Yeah, not an easy task, not a linear process. There was a lot of head scratching along the way. So on the TV, I pulled together just some pretty raw moments from our design process to try to peel back the curtain a little bit. Thank you so much for coming out, and I think this is the moment where we get to kind of show some of those deeper cuts and not just the high contours that it will end up in an Instagram feed or something. So the first slides are intended to show kind of cool, but kind of lost in a way. You have to get these ideas out of the way. I think the tropes of his work, donuts, the NPC, and so this is kind of what we had up on the board for a while. And some of the moments that I think really galvanized the team was when met Dan, as I talked about, introduction to the estate and his family, who I think had an immediate connection with. And these guys in front of us, as Jamie said, came in to visit at a time unrelated to J Dilla, but came in at, timing is everything, so came in at the right time to show us just a really cool idea, which we'll touch on in a little bit. Eventually that felt like the right moment to bring, really our first time to bring in an outside design team. Really just a matter of creative firepower. We were working on a lot of projects at the same time, so we needed some extra hands, and everything clicked from the moment you guys stepped in the door. I think my next door neighbor was in the deck that you had presented us, so just immediate kinship. So yeah.
Yeah, this is how we hang out. Everybody who knows us, it's laptops up, and it's a sport. And our whole thing is can we kill it? And so for us to, come, it was a Saturday night hanging out, and let's take Shinola as our target tonight. And I remember sending it to Jamie. I said, Jamie, send it to, send it to the owner. She was like, Tremaine, no, I don't think he's the right person to send that to. I'm like, no, just send it to him. She said, I think you probably run it by Greg. And I talked to my manager. I think Greg is better. And this was just a great moment because, we ain't have nothing to lose. We ain't have nothing to expect. We just, hey, we think this is cool. And man, it's pretty awesome that you guys had us in your headquarters to show it. And we were just happy just to talk about, what we've been doing. We've been doing this for 20 years together, And so I don't even think we even had to ask. We were just like, all right, cool, thank you that y'all like us, And Greg was like, hey, we got to find something. We got to find something. We got to find something. And I remember Jamie saying, they need to do that J Dilla because I see what they got on the board.
Oh my God.
And that's what y'all really need to be doing. And then I heard it. And then Greg just tapped, hey, Tremaine, I think I got something cool for y'all. And that's kind of where we end up focusing on J Dilla.
Did you want to talk a little bit about the day and night shift?
Talk about the day shift.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of hey, yo. Yeah, that was kind of the dynamic. You guys are busy during the day, seem to do your craft at the night. Me and Molly are crunching away in the studio during the day. So it was this kind of cool dynamic of we're working on the watch during the day, kind of handing it off during the night, and you guys would get together. From what I understand, I don't know every detail of it, but the next day or a couple days later, we'd get some really interesting feedback and would kind of propel the process along. So
Yeah,
a new experience for us, which is super fun.
The cool thing about we joke about the day shift, night shift, is that, we're not watch designers, we're just creators. And so for us, it's kind of that, it's the saying, when you hustle backwards, you don't really have no rules, so you don't know what rules you're not supposed to break. And that's where the day shift always came in to say, but one thing I will say about Greg and Molly, they never stopped us from just exploring. They say, go, and we'll dial it back. So because this is a new field for us, we just go crazy. And then the day shift come in and be like, yeah, let's bring that back a little bit. And that's the cool dynamic. I think that we wouldn't have arrived, Shinola as a partnership, where we're at if we already came in with industry knowledge. This is not our domain. So, it was a great handoff, good partnership, and collaboration, more or less. And that's day shift, night shift.
Perfect. What was your approach to collaborating with UndGrd Studios on this project, Greg?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it was kind of the first moment for us where we had this opportunity to collaborate. Molly and I have been doing this for a while, 10, 12 years, and you got to find ways to stay fresh, to kind of rekindle your creativity, and working with new partners is always an excellent way to do that, I think. So like Tremaine said, our approach was try not to limit. There's physical realities to building a watch in Detroit and everything that that entails logistically. But I didn't want that clouding a vision and a direction. So really tried to just give freedom and to the creative part of it, and Molly and I would kind of digest and try to push things forward during the day.
Yeah, perfect. So Tremaine, what steps did you take to make sure the design felt authentic, like an authentic celebration of J Dilla's legacy?
It's crazy. We went through these questions, and they're new to me right now. I think there's a sense of responsibility that you can't go into it, and we didn't go into it arrogantly. We went into it like we can't drop the ball. And I think that allowed us to be very open and explore and make sure that the data that we collect is the data that we feel gives the highest probability of creating a successful story. And I think the thing that always makes our team a little bit unique as creatives because we are very left brain and very right brain. Everything we do is what does the data say? And then we take the data and make the most best guess based off of what the number says, and that influences our design. So I don't know if I got off the question, but I think going through this is just, one, having a deep respect for, you know, a man's legacy and thinking about his family, and these are the people that still have a hole in their heart in his absence, and having a great sense of responsibility to make sure that we advocate on the behalf and that we do what's most responsible, and it becomes an honor to be able to translate that.
Perfect. Okay, clap it up. Yeah. So I'm sure this is what everybody is here for. What design elements specifically pay tribute to Dilla's musical style or personal aesthetic?
Yeah, so that's, I think this slide kind of covers some of that. One direction that you guys pushed us in was this idea of layering, and you know, and so it wasn't necessarily like trying to figure out something he would wear. It was like, how would he approach a project, and what would he be proud of us for doing? So again, back to that attention to detail. One challenging thing in watches is like showing you've got, you know, 10 millimeters to work with. So showing layers in a watch and having dimension to it is a challenging aspect to it. There's also a lot of like music analogies that you could make to layering of sound and how those layers interact with each other. And from doing our homework, that's really, you know, what we learned to be the key signature part of his contribution to music was the way the layers interacted with each other. So that kind of sent us down a road of like, holy shit, how are we going to do this? You guys were showing us things that were kind of, were not easily achievable, and maybe for that reason we would not, we would have avoided those ideas, but that within watches anyway, that kind of beginner approach of not knowing those limitations was really I think the rocket fuel to to help us to push it forward. So more authentically, like, how do you approach a work of art? How do you approach a piece of music? And it's kind of the cool thing about a watch and a collaborative design is it is unlike maybe a sculpture, which is an individual effort. You've got 7-8 people working on the same little sculpture, and so that, I think that is kind of another music analogy. There's a studio full of people that create something together. So layers was just from the beginning, like when we really started to feel like we were getting somewhere, was this just simple idea of layers. And I think you showed that initially just in a really simple way. Started bringing some artwork references in, some past things we had done, and kind of helped us, move it forward. So again, not trying to find like, I will admit, I was like looking at every picture, what watch is he wearing, but that really wasn't the goal of like creating a watch he would wear. It's more a work of art, I think.
Actually, that image in the middle, that's actually one of our creators. He just came one day and, hey, I took a whole bunch of scraps and I made this. And so, kind of jumping back a little bit, when we talk about like the collaboration, it couldn't have been no better. I mean, we're talking in group chats, all hours of the night, randomly. talk to memes, you know. When you're trying to build something, you almost have to over-communicate. So sometimes the way that maybe it's explained, maybe it gets a little miss the detail of it. So then you might have to create and show an example. And this was like one of those examples where it's like, no, think about this piece and the layer. And then he said, okay, all right, now I see what you're doing. Okay, yeah, that's possible. But it can't be done corny. We can't do fake movements, and you know. So that's the beauty on it. All right.
What's you, Jamie? Or do you want to get into this?
You want to go deeper into the Easter eggs?
Yeah. So this was again, just raw decks from the process. This is something that, you know, pushed us forward. The visuals really do it for me. At one point I was like, Tremaine, I'm not reading all that, but, and you will see in further decks, but the visuals do it for me. And yeah, maybe you can touch on some of these topics. And like, this is the beauty of an event like this. None of this made it into the marketing story. And so like these deep cuts are super fun.
Okay, and they told me to keep mindful of the time, so bear with me, guys. First, after we got the opportunity and the responsibility, before there's any mood boards or anything, everyone's labs up and everyone is grabbing data. And they're trying to figure out what story has been told, how much that story has been told, how much of that story has been more told, what is everybody saying about those stories, what is Shinola's customer, what are the Shinola customers like. So there's just a lot of things that we had to consider to even, before we can even start putting together a mood board. It came to a point with the data, and it was a most beautiful moment when Dan and they invited me to a book signing, and Dan said something that I think was profound, and I never looked at it like this. He said, I got a problem with the whole term soul music. He says, because when you say soul, you kind of, it's hard to make that studied as an institution, because now that person is gifted with a soul. But soul can also mean the energy and the mood. But he said, but when you look at Dilla, he should be studied at institution level like Mozart and Beethoven. And I said, wow, that's all I needed. Boom. So now our discussion as a team goes, let's look at him as a scientist. What validated that was when we ran into Erykah Badu's interview with Red Bull, and she described in the studio with them, and she described it as a laboratory, and him as a scientist, and how organized his refrigerator was, right? I said, ooh, okay, all right, it's aligning. And that's the cool thing about the creative process when things start coming together. We're still unknown, and we're not being eagle, we're being very, we think we have a direction. Time, okay. So there was an intersection. In the intersection, and you guys probably might not be familiar, but DC Comic Watchmen, Dr. Manhattan was probably one of the biggest inspiration. Dr. Manhattan's father was a watchmaker. When the atomic bomb hit in the comic book, his father said, scrap being a watchman, I want you to be a physicist, scientist. And he left his passion for watch design that he inherited for his father, and now he became a scientist in physics. I said, okay, that's interesting. But if you watch and read the comics, he transcends into Dr. Manhattan because he got caught in the chamber and became, got superpowers. Time. Thank you, Molly. At that moment, he says time became linear to him. And he was able to control his molecules. And now he looks at time different. I said, excuse me. We said, ooh. If you notice some of the blue hues in there, he defined space and light. Okay, cool. But then if you look more into Dr. Manhattan, he just wanted to work. His laboratory, he went on Mars to be alone. And what he was working on was a master clock. In fact, he became Dr. Manhattan because he was about to gift his watch that looks like a Shinola watch to a girl that he fell in love with. And when he went back to get it, that's when he got locked in there and he became Dr. Manhattan. Okay. So that gave us a cool story to relate, because when you think about J Dilla, he's a master scientist that manipulates time. It was like, oh, there's parallels. Time. Now we talk about looking at Dr. Manhattan, who defined the universe. He traveled everywhere, right? Go back. When you start thinking about sacred geometries, cymatics, taking sound and vibrations, put particles to it, create unique patterns. When we look at the architecture from some of the ancient builders that we still see the remains, that gives us a design language to follow. So that came in there. Now, let me bring it all together. So when you think about J Dilla, on his MPC, he breaks down each pad as an instrument that creates a wave. If you put that wave, that vibration against a particle, it creates a pattern. And if you put that pattern together, it creates a layering effect. And what I didn't mention through Bernard Pross is that it was an artist that mastered that. So what you see in both of the watches is us articulating that. And I feel like that's one of the beauty. But there's one beauty that I'm gonna leave on this. And it's really for the owner of the watch. The skeleton version, Shinola's first. And then also the Dillatine one with the transparency is your chance to look through the window of a master worker. So it translated to a skeleton saying, we're opening up the door, you're sitting in the doorway of J Dilla, and you're watching a master time movements. But then also on the chronograph version, it's transparent, but you can still look through the glass. So I can talk for hours about that, and that's just where I'm at.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So this is in practice, going from theory to practice. This was a cool moment that blew my mind from the studio. So you can probably say it better than me, but essentially playing music through this waterproof speaker that you had filled up with water, playing Dilla's music, creating the cymatic patterns, taking a photo of it, plugging it into AI, creating some crazy visuals that then he fed in also to Molly and I, that we could start having fun, like playing with those elements to reach a final product in the end. So that was my, my perspective on it. But I don't know if you have anything to layer in.
Yeah, I'll be very brief. That was an Amazon speaker with waterproof, and us taking the different rhythms of Lightworks and his song and then capturing that. We, as a team, always dally around the AI, right? And we're talking 3 years ago, right? All of those things that I just nerded out on, it really just give us a recipe. And once we have a recipe, we can create our own algorithms. This isn't Mid-Journey or nothing like this. This is our own machine learning AI agent that we built from the ground up to speak to the DNA of Shinola, but also to be able to tell that story. So it was cool to be able to bring, Molly and Greg into the studio, and out of, 600 iterations, to put, 60 on the wall, and be able to work at that speed, so.
Yeah, and that, I mean, even early on in that, when you guys first visited, there was a little bit of usage of AI and that. And this is 2 years, 3 years ago. I'm like, man, I don't know how I feel about that. I'm a designer. This is coming for my job. And, but then it was like, hold up, Dilla was known for embracing new technology, whether it be, he started with the cassette watch, which is why one of the watches looks like a cassette tape, and moving into digital means of production, and eventually, the laptop. And so embracing new technology, I think, is important, and kind of was one of those just moments where I was like, okay, this is the right feel. As much as you want to, downplay the AI stuff, I think it's cool that.
I think to me, that is the most amazing, surprise moment for this whole design development process. It's like when I see you split water on the speaker, my brain was explode. What was that? If it's just me solely designing this watch, this would never happen, right? This needs to be from you guys, outside perspective, you explore different materials, technologies, and bringing new perspective, and that is exactly what we need.
Yeah, we have OSHA laws around the office that do not allow us to put water on electronics, so. This is a moment of me and Molly processing some of that output, circling and pulling out things that we really love that would eventually, end up in the final product. Really fun moment at your guys' headquarters.
Yeah. So this is another brain explode moment. When Truman said they had hundreds of concepts just show us at one time. We're like, oh my God, what are we doing here? How can we narrow this down to become one watch? So yeah, that is a lot of process right there. We're looking at so many images on the board in his studio, and just circling little things that we feel it's probably workable, or some are interesting, but we don't know how to do it yet, but we still keep those ideas, which are very important. So
I think the cool part about that won't translate in a photo is that there's 2 markers, right? And to simplify and streamline the process, it's mark what you absolutely love and mark what you absolutely hate. And we went everywhere, but after they went through and did that, we felt like we got good direction from there. We know where our boundaries is at.
And then, you know, sometimes you make wrong turns. So this was some of our reaction to like the cymatics. What I do like about this was, you know, it uses his 3 different aliases as the branding on the watch. But yeah, we threw this away. It was kind of just the non-linear process of creating something. This was a wrong turn, but you can still kind of see how it informed the final product.
And can we keep it real? When that came in the group chat, it's like, okay, maybe we're not doing a good job of articulating. So, and I think it was a gif, a meme, and I said, step back, let the night shift in. So I just want to add that in there. So now the night shift is starting to better explain how it can be realized.
Yeah, so I felt like this image was a critical moment in getting there. The one on the left, mixed with it's, you know, we really started embracing something about that middle image. Said cassette to us, and so we started bringing that idea of the cassette in as kind of like the origin story for J Dilla. And you can see how it started to influence the design, bringing in some of that cymatic, blending it with the cassette tape feel, pulling some of the branding off the TDK graphics, which I'm a sucker for, and kind of bringing that into the watch was kind of the first moment I could find while, you know, digging through a bunch of files to like, okay, that's, I think we started to turn a corner.
Yeah, and there's something to note about even that, right? It's like nothing can be flat. Everything has to be on its own elevation. Like Greg said, we have this much space, but it has to be layered. And then some of the sacred geometry comes into, we'll say, don't make those cassette touch the ends of it. Bring it in around the corner. So now we're really like dialing it in at this point and bringing in some of those subtle elements.
This was like in the beginning, so we had really we have a watch called the Shinola, which is our plastic kind of fun watch, which was kind of where this project started. And Tremaine and these guys kept just pushing us to do this like skeleton stuff, which we had never done before in watchmaking. It's kind of a big leap for us, for our customers, and so, you know, I was like, you know, I don't know if we could do that.
And I just want to mention, I'm loose now. The skeleton was so important because I just felt like he's not here. Let's look through the glass of the crystal into the doorway of his mastermind. And I'm thankful that you guys done something that in your company history you didn't do to tell that story.
Yeah, which involves, you know, it's a huge shift from, you know, you go a few blocks down here, this is where our production facility is, and people had to figure that out. You know, easy for designers to say, hard for production people to figure out. So, you know, shout out to everybody that could actually build this watch. All right, so here's where we start picking up steam. On the left, you've got the Shinola version that never made it really, but we wanted to show it is sort of like really where we defined a lot of the Lightworks aesthetic, and I think we kind of forgot this part, but that before we designed anything, it was all about defining the aesthetic first that we could kind of apply to anything. And we called it, you know, the Lightworks aesthetic, which made a lot of sense for us. The transparency, the layers, that song is like powerful in that way. And so that was kind of like our a way to organize it and say, yeah, Lightworks.
Yeah, and Dr. Manhattan.
And Dr. Manhattan. We had some blue ones, we had some black ones, and we had these like magnetic tape inspired ones. We ended up, you know, with these blue Dr. Manhattan themed versions of it. So yeah, and I think we're totally off script now, but this was the moment that we presented it to the estate. Egon is their creative director, and you can see in the first image, he's like, like, I was like, oh shit, does he like it? And by the end, he's just glowing, and he thinks it's fantastic.
Greg.
That's how I remember it. But
Greg is misrepresenting it right now. Igor joined the meeting looking like that, and it's almost like, here Shinola's about to come with some donuts. And so he was unenthused until you pulled up the slide. And then when you started pulling up the slide, his mood changed.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So that's, there were a few moments that we started getting confidence in the project. It was, sharing it with Egon, sharing it with his daughters, sharing it with his family. We just got more and more smiles as the project went along, because it's kind of secret for a while. You can't show anybody, and you build up a little bit of anxiety about what people are going to think about it. And so, the more it saw the light of day, the more we were like, hell yeah, I think we've got something. This was, the unfortunate part about, as designers, you want to get all of this stuff in, all these deep moments in, but, in today's world, you've got 10 seconds with people, so you've got to kind of boil it down and condense it into something. And so this was kind of our final mood board that captured it. You can see Dr. Manhattan in there, but you can't really, that kind of thing. And it was kind of came down to these themes. So this version of the watch was the cassette tape, which one was kind of like, each of these watches kind of bookend his career. And so the cassette tape and working with pause tapes and what he was able to do with even like rudimentary tools was inspiring, and said to us, like, it's not about the tools at all. It's not the shoes. It was his genius and it was in him, and he could have done it with Victorian equipment probably. So that's, the cassette tape comes into that. The Dilla timing, we couldn't miss this opportunity of really, Dan Charnas broke this down scientifically of what really is it. I think we all had an idea of the feel of it and what made him different, but to break it down and show it graphically was awesome, to bring it into the final watch.
I swear that's my last point.
Hit it.
The cool thing too is that there's things that's obvious, and just like with good music, right? It aged well, and then you might find new things, and so everything didn't have to be so obvious. You can enjoy that, but then also too, as you spend more time with the watch, and hopefully that will drive you to explore more into his legacy.
Yep. And then just to finish this part of it, the skeleton version, to me, the idea is it's really his transcendence as an artist, outside of hip hop, outside of where he was born, and kind of is that other bookend of his career, and all the complexity, all of the emotion, the feel, I think, was the most important part. Was kind of, he broke through that working with the tools, but was able to kind of give this unique feel to the music. So that's kind of what the skeleton represents. I'm sure you have some more questions.
Yeah, I mean,
do we
but this was what we're here for. So, no, I love that story. I guess now we're going to take it to Molly. How much time did it take to bring the vision to life from early concepting to final release?
Thank you, Jamie. I think this is my first question
Yes.
for tonight. So just give you guys a rough idea, like what's the time frame for developing a new watch, especially like this very special project. Usually it will take up to 2 years, sometimes a little bit even more. So if we break it down, usually for the concepting phase, it takes about 3 months. So everything that you just see, like all the slides, all the deep research, data analysis, all that ideation concepts, that has to fit into a 3 months time frame. So, which is not a lot, but we manage with, all these people, we make it happen. And then next, we will go into sampling. So that's when we can get to see a real product, because sometimes you see this 2D drawing, 3D modeling on the computer, but when it comes really like in the one-to-one size, sometimes it looks totally different than your imagination. So we need to do 2 rounds of samples. Each round takes about 3 to 4 months to make. And once we receive first samples, if there's anything that we want to change, we give comments back, then take another 3-4 months to get a second round sample. And then if everything's good, then we do another like final round of sample, which is we call it like a photo sample, right? So at that point, we shouldn't be changing any design. If we do, Jamie will be really mad because that is close to production time. So next, it takes about 10 months to produce the watch, to build it up in our factories, in our headquarters. So like all this time added up for bigger project like this, it takes about 2 years. Yeah.
Perfect. Were there any major challenges during the development?
Yes. I have to say, like, this project is probably one of the most pain in the neck. No. Just really, really challenging. There are multiple aspects to it. Like first, it's the design development process. Because, like we mentioned it earlier, this is Shinola's first time team up with a third-party design studio to design a watch, which is a very different process. So in the past, it's just me and Greg. We sit by each other for 12 years now. So this is me, this is Greg, right? We're very different individuals, but we have been working on the brand for such a long time. We kind of, know where is the guardrail, and then we kind of like, would come to a agreement, although we disagree a lot.
She's pretty sick of me at this point. Let's just be honest.
But this time, we're working with a whole different team from the outside of the company who never had watch experience before, which it's something that we're looking forward to it because we're like so deep into it. Sometimes we would not take the risk, just subconsciously just avoiding any challenges. But with these people right here, they are very creative. The way they're thinking is very different from what we're doing every day. You guys all heard him talking, right? It's just a very different process than what we do every day. And so I would say this is us, that's underground. And then we have to like pull these 2 points together. That is a super, super challenging part. But although the process is sometimes it's a little like, like I mentioned it yesterday, Greg and Truman, they were like texting each other for like about 20 minutes. And then Greg would just move his chair and stand up, look at the ceiling, and then say, Truman is killing me. So I can totally feel the pain, although it's really fun to watch as well. But that just shows like the dynamic of this project. But usually that's, you know, the more challenged, the more chaotic the process is. Usually that's how, you know, a greater product is getting made.
I love hearing this because this is the first time I heard it. It's really cool because Greg made sure that we did not, because he didn't want to inhibit our design. I do want to say that it was cool to see like him seeing the image to say, I think we made it, we made this work. So a lot of times when you guys saw it, it was the first time I saw it too, I'm like, oh wow, you know? So no, I think that was really cool and dope. And I don't know what you guys went through, and I love hearing this for the first time.
Yeah, because we really try to keep it just on our side. We don't want to like limit.
I still can't
you guys.
believe it all happened. Really, this
Yeah.
is a lot. It was beautiful in the end. I think any I think great thing that happens. There's a lot of pain and involved. So
I got 1 point. Time.
Fine.
That's my thought. I'll come back to that thought.
Okay. Yes, I want to piggyback on that. This was a very challenging project to work on, but it was so worth it. So I guess something else that's really cool that we can dive into is the packaging. Was the packaging design in tandem with the watch, or did it evolve separately?
depends on which way time flows, but I think it, from my recollection, it came afterwards. I think.
Yeah.
So we generally get the watch sample in, and then we start working on the packaging, which was super special in this instance. And this is the part where it was like, I ain't reading all that, but I mean, look, it's beautiful if you do. I did read it all eventually, but like, look at this. Look at this. This is all just for the packaging. Which was really cool, and I got in a lot of trouble for. Yeah, we're still having packaging issues. So I don't know, Tremaine, you can, chime in.
I'm gonna just say something really quick. I think that's the coolest part, because as a team, we don't really accept no. So what we do is, because we believe that it needs to exist this way, so we just ain't doing a good enough job trying to sell it and help you to see why it needs to exist. So when he says, Zach shows us the images, it's like, no. We did all this with on the watch, and then if we drop the ball on the packaging, so then we'll spend a weekend putting together 50 pages with design cues, references, and everything, so that you could see it. And it was really cool to say, okay, cool, this is what it looks like.
Yeah, so this is just a peek into some of the internal processes. Zach Fox, not the DJ, was an incredible artist, and he can't be here today. But so this was some of his. He's a real analog guy, which we love, and so this was just some of his sketching for the initial packaging. You can see, it all boils down to that word Lightworks. The transparency, the layers, the color refraction, the analog signal, and I like this slide because this shows all of our options that we could have made out of the packaging and how you assemble a plexiglass box, and we essentially picked the most irresponsible one, which was the thickest plastic plexi we could get. Because it just created this magical feel to it in the end, like that feel of a prism effect, essentially, which kind of evolved out of a cassette tape thing, but also all of your guys' thinking and But Zach's more of a technical guy, so he's thinking about butt joints and miter joints and everything. And you can see kind of what we selected. And this is the final image, like how cool, like all the prismatic effects. The internal box is like floating in there, and so well worth the pain.
So one of the things that was very pivotal in this is the Sony Walkman, classic. If you had that yellow Sony Walkman, you know to hit the layer. So this was kind of taking that design element and then telling the story in the packaging, and you have that same experience that you did as a kid with the Sony Walkman. And that was the design challenge or what we wanted to accomplish. And so, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Perfect.
I think that's it.
All right, so this question is for all of you. What lessons did you take from this collaboration that will influence future projects?
Yeah, mix up your process. I think if you've been doing something for a while, make some changes in it, and work with some new people. Get out, meet some new people, and it'll help you do something new.
We are where we're at as a people because technology has evolved and innovate. And anytime you take technology and it disrupts, and it should, and it's not always comfortable. That's the reason why we don't have the Pony Express. We have emails and things like that. So leaning into it and finding it does not change us as individuals, creatives. It's just tools that help us, and the reason why we don't shoot on film and those sort of things. So just embrace change.
Yeah, I think one thing that I keep remind myself is being open-minded. Even I personally designing watch for years, but there are so many creative individuals and there are so many good ideas that I could never thought of on my own. And so I'm just really enjoying this opportunity to be able to work with outside studios and meet new peoples, and I think it's a really incredible experience for me.
Perfect. For Greg and Tremaine, how do you feel this project honors J Dilla's legacy?
For me, it was just, I think I touched on this already, but the attention to detail that he put into things is what, for us, honored his creative work. And then, on the other side of it, just connecting with the people that were important to him in his life, and making sure that we did things in the right way to honor his legacy was, left us feeling good at the end of the day.
I love to be able to work with Shinola to tell a story of him as a genius, innovator, groundbreaking scientist, and to tell that story, man, to sit in that corner and watch his daughters, man, that was the best moment ever, to be able to honor a great man's legacy as an innovator. And I feel like he should be respected and studied the same way as Beethoven and Mozart. And it was an honor to share that experience and that story, and also to allow to have a skeleton and a transparency to allow everyone else to sit in his doorway.
Well, that wraps up our questions. So I want to thank our design team, Greg and Molly. I want to thank UndGrd Studios for being a part of this. This has been a super incredible project to be a part of, and it obviously has been a super successful thing It's sold out, so that is amazing. So thank you. And now we're going to open up the floor to questions. I'll just pass this.
Hey, Jermaine, first of all, it's a great design, both watches, so very beautiful. Happy that they sold out. That's awesome. What was the genesis behind UndGrd Studios and you guys getting together? And if you wouldn't mind just taking a minute to introduce your team and just give us a background on them, please.
Yeah, I'll let Ready.
Oh, man.
Ready. I'll let them speak.
Let you take it to the topic.
What's the question?
What's the question again?
What was the genesis behind you guys getting together?
Wow.
Woodward, man, what, 25 years ago? Was the first studio, banquet building. I met Tremaine before that. We met up at a kickback. Was playing cards and talking, and we kind of. Who are you? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Tony Smith, project manager with UndGrd. But yeah, met Tremaine years ago, 25 years ago, and actually longer than that. And we would just meet up and talk about all these different cool projects and ideas we had. And he told me what he had going on, and we connected. And that's kind of how it started with me, and it's just been running since. And we're still going strong.
Spencer Hunter, graphic designer, product designer. I met him just pitching to him. I said, why is this loud? So freaking loud.
Hi, I'm the youngest member at UndGrd Studios. I'm currently in school for transportation design, and I can honestly say, like, Tremaine saw some of the things I brought to the table, and he just took a chance on me. You know what I'm saying? Being the youngest member is still being in school. You know, this is my first, I guess you could say, industry or professional project, and I'm definitely super grateful for it. You know, definitely super grateful for the chance to flex our creative muscles and you know, network and bring different things to Shinola as a brand. So, yeah, that's how I met Tremaine, and that's how I met the rest of the team. Nothing but welcome and energy.
Thank you. My name is Jerron Mills. I'm a member also of UndGrd and also a member of Kill Creative Collectives. This group of people here is real eclectic. I say that because we're almost like Voltron, okay? Avengers, if you want to say. Everyone has something specific, great that they do, so that you can go in any room and basically feel confident in any room that you're in because your brothers are in the room with you. So whenever I encounter something that I may be unfamiliar with, it's never a challenge to me because I know someone who hasn't. So I may tell you, let me get back with you in a minute, we'll have you. But by the way, this group, as far as when it comes to being artsy, eclectic, like I said, it's natural. It's like playing basketball in your backyard with your comrades. It's not a job, it's like fun. Although we're gonna challenge each other, we may seem like we're argumentative or something because you may not agree with something, but that's all a part of the development process. But I love these guys. Everybody is who they are in their own special way, and that's how you identify them, with their character and their mannerisms. So I'm proud to have been aboard this mission with Greg and this beautiful lady here with the humbleness that she has. But no one would be here without her. So we really need to be putting all that.
Definitely, make some noise.
And I'll wrap a nice bow up on this. You know, when you bring creatives, Desmond Love, Emmy Award winner, is behind the camera. It's our brother. We've been with us 20 years. Seeing Desmond come with his first Nikon and then see him win an Emmy, it's a thing of ours. And we do this as a sport and as it's fun to us. So, time. We're just some creative guys that love each other, and we come together and we try to challenge. Actually, we're more worried about each other liking it, because if it get past that, then we're good. So, great question too. Thank you for allowing my brothers to speak too.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Mike, it's going around there.
So for anybody who wants to answer up at the front, I mean, we're talking about art, and watchmaking is an art, music is an art, production is an art, graphic design is an art, transportation development is an art. Most artists I know have passion projects on the side. I'm just curious if any one of you want to talk about anything that you have outside of Shinola, UndGrd, wherever else you're doing at school. Just curious.
I would love to answer that question, and it's in our best interest to answer that question, but Shinola has given us a great platform, and I just want to be mindful of that. If you meet up with any of us, we will talk your ears off about all the cool things that we got going on. Just but out of respect for time.
We could each like take 20 seconds. That would be a fun exercise.
Okay, cool. We're doing a mobile EV scooter in Jackson, and we got the support of the mayor and the city council to do something different. We have a waffle company, Detroit Waffle Company, that you will see very soon. It's a really cool mix of it. We have some EV technology that we have that's coming. And
20 seconds is up. Molly, your turn.
Oh, yeah, my bad. He gave me 2 beers before I got up
These
here.
guys each get 20 seconds too, so.
Yeah, besides designing watches, I do love art and crafts. So I do rattan weavings, and I just had my first workshop actually last week at thank you, Michigan Central. And I also like to do some volunteer work. So actually this Saturday in Michigan Central, I'm hosting a free a paper crane public art project, which, you know, everybody is invited. We're gonna make beautiful paper cranes, and we're gonna.
All right, time's up.
Okay.
Jamie?
Oh my God. Okay, yes, I do have a brand. It is called Not Pressed. He happens to have the hat on. Follow me on Instagram. It's just a lifestyle brand. It's about being creative, being yourself, and just not giving a care about what anybody else thinks about what you got going on.
All right.
How you doing, everybody? I'm on my last year of school at College for Creative Studies. And thank you. And I'm working on my first solo show professionally, so look out for that. Definitely.
I have a few brands. I have a brand clothing line called Eating. I also have a music company called Kill Creative Collectives. I'm an artist as well, and this guy right here, this evil genius guy here, he has me involved in all types of things that, that really shrinks your brain because you get no rest. Like he and I be up all night creating. Like we got so many other brands. Like I can't even really speak on a lot because We haven't really finished them yet, but those right there is the ones that we have in motion right now.
I have Rev Mobility, is what Tremaine mentioned. I have an e-scooter, e-bike company that's going to be launching. First market is Jackson, Michigan, in the next couple months. So that's one of the things, but also custom closets and interior spaces, commercial and residential build out. So something else I have going on.
Spencer Hunter. I have a urban exploration kind of based clothing line. And then Tremaine actually helped facilitate a waffle truck, something I had been into, like gourmet foods. And sculpture, actually one of my sculptures were on the slide. It's cool. Yeah, it's cool. That was nice. But I do a lot. It's too much to talk about. So.
My art right now is raising 2 kids and 2 small children, and restoring a house in Green Acres from 1927, which is another fun thing, but a little bit of charcoal drawing to keep me sane, but that's about it.
He's fired. He's being so modest.
So I didn't get a chance to introduce myself. My name is Jessica. I took the beautiful pup out to make sure he was all set for his little interview. And I wanted to get a photo of everybody because these guys forget to take photos of themselves to show who they really are. Only thing I'm really focused on right now is I got a year left of school. I'm studying computer science, and we'll see where that takes me from there.
I do have some questions from the live stream. We have about 5 or 10 more minutes, so will there be a quote-unquote B-side run of the watches? Any alternative colorways, volume 2?
Some internal debate about that. We have not.
Green lighted.
Yeah, we've got to connect with the estate again on that and see how they're feeling. I did hear a few more like return watches are coming back online if people are still interested in trying to get the original one. But yeah, I think more to come in some form. We have no idea what form it will take yet.
I think we kind of answered this question, but was there any input from Dilla's family or the estate in this collaboration?
Yeah, so the estate, Egon, their creative director, kind of helped us digest kind of where to land the watches exactly. Also pushed us. He's a huge vinyl head, runs Now Again Records, and pushed us to do the vinyl bag, which is incredible. An adaptation of our messenger bag, customized with bonded leather and clips to hold 30 albums. If you do some digging. So, yeah, they were a cool part of it, and I think the smile on his daughter's faces were the best part of the whole process when they first saw the watches. So just their seal of approval, I think, was number one.
This is a question that we've been getting a lot, but is there any future collaborations with UndGrd Studio and Shinola?
Come on now.
We were just talking. Yeah. We hope so. Yeah. Hard to say right now, but yeah, I think we'd be stupid not to continue working with such great partners. So
It's not on us. Every last one of these guys been advocating and talking their ears off. We have so many great ideas that we feel like that would be cross genres and cultures, and there's so many more stories. My guys can't get their hands off of that Filson. We have ideas, we just need the green light and budget.
Okay, you have 2 minutes to answer this, Tremaine. What do those waves imply for the automatic? I assume it's sound frequency, but would love to know more details on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Time. We took the song and we broke them down into stems to play just the melodies, and then we put light and water over top the speaker, and then we recorded it and stopped the frame, and we got cool patterns. So what you're seeing is actual the song and cymatics of Lightworks built into it. So that was us being very intentional with the cymatic geometry, and that's exactly why you see the waves in there. It is the actual cymatics of the song.
Okay, and then last question. This is for Greg, Molly, Jamie. The Great American series seems to get better with every release. How does the design team work with the engineering build team to see what's possible?
There's rich communication on every project, I think, between design and production. We are, I think our role is to continue to try to push the envelope, knowing whatever we did last year, ain't gonna cut it next year. And so, we're always trying to push the limits without breaking it. So there are real world limitations of, running a factory in Detroit and the logistics of that. So, any new project, there's a series of meetings with the technical team, and it's as big a part of the process as the design process. So I don't know if you have anything to layer in there.
Yeah, I would agree. Just keep pushing. Yeah, just keep pushing. Like you guys push us, we push the engineer team and the manufacturing. Every new movement that we bring into the concept is a challenge for our manufacturer in the Detroit. Even like on the chronograph watch, the cassette tape, usually if you own a chronograph watch, usually you will see hands, right? But on this specific design, the hands is becoming a disc. That's how you see like all the graphic would click at the same time. Just by installing a different type of hands on the chrono eyes, that takes a new learning and a new muscle memory development. Because it's not just about to learn a new skill, they have to produce it quickly to hit the goal. So yeah, we just be creative, push ourselves, push our boundary, work with engineer, and that's how we get better and better.
I don't have a question, but I do want to say thank you to all these amazing designers and creatives for sharing y'all gifts with me. And I also want to say shout out to Jamie Jackson for moderating this panel. This is her first time. She did an amazing job. And now we will have some final remarks from our director, Brent Phil.
I think Cherub said it best. Shout out to everyone who took the time for coming out, and then for our incredible design team and UndGrd for being here with us today. So I think the bar is open for a little bit. We still got some food, so they'll be hanging out if you guys have any other questions. But yeah, have some food, have some drinks, and have fun. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
That was fun.